Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders have officially placed defensive end Dorrance Armstrong on injured reserve, ending what had been shaping up to be a strong, potentially breakout season for the veteran pass rusher. It's a tough blow for Washington, no doubt about it. Armstrong was not only the team's leader in sacks with 5.5 through 7 games, but he had also established himself as one of the emotional anchors of a defensive front that has been battling through adversity week after week. Head coach Dan Quinn confirmed that the injury, a knee issue sustained during Sunday's game against the Dallas Cowboys, will sideline Armstrong for the rest of the season. And if you watched that game, you probably saw the moment it happened. He tried to plant and turn the corner off the edge, and you could see immediately that something wasn't right. He went down, grabbed his leg, and even though he walked off under his own power, there was that sinking feeling that every Commanders fan knows too well. It didn't look good. To fill Armstrong's spot on the 53-man roster, the team announced the signing of defensive end Jalen Holmes. Holmes isn't a new face in Washington. He's been around the organization since last season and knows the system well. The Commanders actually released him just a few days ago to make room for offensive lineman Sam Cosmi, who was activated from the reserve/PUP list after recovering from an ACL tear. Now, Holmes is back, ready to step into the rotation of a defensive line that's been absolutely hammered by injuries. Dietrich Wise Jr. and Javonte Jean-Baptiste are already on IR with their own ailments. Wise with a quad issue, Jean-Baptiste with a torn pectoral muscle, and now Armstrong joins them. It's been a season of attrition up front, and it's testing the depth of a unit that, on paper, was supposed to be one of the team's biggest strengths. For Armstrong, this injury comes at a brutal time. The 28-year-old was having one of the best stretches of his career. He's a former fourth-round pick out of Kansas from the 2018 NFL Draft, a guy who came into the league with all the raw tools, speed, power, length, but took a few years to truly find his rhythm. After finishing his rookie contract with the Dallas Cowboys, he re-signed with them in 2022 on a short extension that helped him build some momentum. That's when he started to come into his own, carving out a reputation as one of those high-motor, do-it-all defensive ends who could produce without needing all the spotlight. When free agency rolled around in 2024, the Commanders came calling with a 3-year deal worth up to $45 million. A big statement that they believed Armstrong could be a centerpiece of Dan Quinn's new-look defense. And honestly, for the first half of 2025, he was living up to that deal. In just 7 games, Armstrong racked up 24 total tackles and those 5.5 sacks that led the team. His impact went beyond the box score, too. He was consistently collapsing the pocket, forcing quarterbacks to move off their spot, and creating opportunities for teammates to make plays. You could tell Quinn loved having him. He's the kind of relentless edge defender Quinn has built his schemes around since his days in Seattle and Atlanta. Armstrong fit that mold perfectly. He wasn't just a sack artist, he was a tone setter. But unfortunately, this is the NFL, where even the strongest and most disciplined athletes can see their season changed in a split second. What's even more frustrating for Washington fans is that Armstrong was already dealing with a hamstring injury the previous week against the Chicago Bears. He didn't practice during the short week leading up to the Cowboys game, but gutted it out anyway, showing the kind of toughness and commitment teammates and coaches rave about. Playing hurt is part of the game, but it's also a cruel gamble. Sometimes it pays off, and sometimes it just makes things worse. Now, he'll spend the rest of the year on IR, with his focus shifting from chasing quarterbacks to rehabbing his knee and preparing for a 2026 comeback. As for the Commanders' defense, the timing couldn't be tougher. They've already been navigating through a long list of injuries, and depth has become a weekly storyline. Holmes will now be asked to play a bigger role, but it's not just about filling a roster spot. It's about maintaining intensity and chemistry in a group that's been through constant change. Holmes has flashed potential before, especially in rotational roles. At 6'5" and over 280 pounds, he's got the frame and athleticism to hold the edge, but consistency has been the question mark throughout his career. Still, he's familiar with Quinn's system, and that could make the transition smoother. The Commanders' defensive line coach, Jeff Scanina, will have his work cut out for him keeping this group competitive. The pass rush has been one of Washington's few consistent strengths this year, and losing Armstrong means they'll have to rely even more heavily on interior pressure and creative blitz packages. Expect Quinn to get aggressive, using stunts and disguised pressures to compensate for the absence of his top edge presence. Maybe this is the opportunity for a younger player to step up, someone like Andre Jones Jr. or F. Obata, who's been in and out of the rotation. But no matter how you slice it, replacing Armstrong's energy and production won't be easy. Elsewhere on the roster, there was at least a bit of good news on the injury front. Wide receivers Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel are both expected to practice this week. McLaurin has been out for the last 4 games with a quad injury, and his absence has been glaring. Without him, Washington's offense has lacked that reliable third-down target, the guy who can turn a contested catch into a momentum-shifting play. Samuel, who's been nursing a heel injury, missed his first game of the season last week after trying to play through it for 2 straight weeks. Head coach Dan Quinn said on SiriusXM's Movin' the Chains that the plan is to get both receivers a full week of practice, something that hasn't happened in over a month. If they can return soon, that's a massive boost for rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels and the entire offense. Speaking of Daniels, the young QB gave fans a bit of a scare when he pulled up late in the game against Dallas with what was later described as a hamstring issue. Thankfully, Quinn and the team's medical staff have said it's not considered serious or long-term, but they'll be cautious with him this week. Daniels has been one of the few bright spots in what's been a roller coaster start to Washington's season. His poise, mobility, and leadership have injected new life into the franchise. The last thing anyone wants is to see him sidelined, especially with a primetime matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs looming next Monday night. For a rookie, there's no bigger test than going head-to-head with Patrick Mahomes under the lights. But first, Daniels has to prove he's healthy enough to play. The Commanders' wide receiver room continues to take hits, too. Noah Brown was placed on IR last week after missing his 4th straight game with a groin injury. That's another veteran presence the offense will have to do without. It's been that kind of year in Washington. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. For every player who comes off the injury list, another one seems to go on. Depth and resilience are being tested at every position, and that's where the culture Quinn's trying to build really comes into play. The Commanders have made it clear they want to be a tough, physical team that doesn't make excuses. And while the injuries hurt, they also provide an opportunity for guys like Holmes to show what they're made of. You can feel the frustration, but also the determination inside the locker room. Players have been vocal about rallying around each other, about refusing to let injuries define their season. Armstrong himself, before the IR designation was official, reportedly told teammates he'd be back stronger than ever. That kind of attitude rubs off on everyone else. Even though he won't be on the field, he'll still be around the facility, mentoring younger players, studying film, helping them prepare. That's the kind of leadership Quinn values, and it's part of what made Armstrong such a big signing in the first place. Now, the Commanders have to turn the page. The season doesn't stop for anyone, and the schedule isn't getting any easier. The Chiefs await on Monday Night Football, and they're coming off a dominant stretch. It'll be a true test of Washington's defensive depth and their ability to adapt without their top pass rusher. Can Jalen Holmes, or someone else, rise to the occasion? Can the offense find its rhythm with McLaurin and Samuel potentially returning? These are the questions hanging over the team this week, and they'll define whether the Commanders can stay competitive in a crowded NFC East race. Losing Dorrance Armstrong is a gut punch, no question about it. He was everything Washington hoped for when they signed him. A relentless, high-character leader who made plays and set the tone. His absence will be felt on every snap, not just because of what he did statistically, but because of how he carried himself. Still, football is about next man up. The Commanders have no choice but to keep grinding, keep fighting, and hope that by the time Armstrong returns next year, the foundation he helped build will still be standing strong. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. In a shockwave that has left Dallas fans reeling and the NFL gossip mills spinning, the whispers have become a deafening roar. CeeDee Lamb, the shining star of the Dallas Cowboys, has apparently turned his back on the Lone Star State to join the Washington Commanders. Yes, you heard that right. The player who has been the pride of Dallas, whose electrifying plays have kept fans on the edge of their seats, whose highlight reels have dominated social media and sports shows alike, might now be suiting up for a completely different team, and the betrayal is being felt across Texas like a sudden thunderclap. The rumor, swirling through sports circles and online fan forums, paints a picture of a sudden, almost clandestine defection, leaving Cowboys loyalists shocked, angry, and desperate for answers. It's the kind of story that keeps social media lit for days, with every angle analyzed, every tweet scrutinized, every possible motivation speculated upon. Some say the allure of a fresh start, a bigger paycheck, or a chance to reinvent his career might have pulled Lamb away. But the reality of a star player abandoning the team that built his legend has sent waves of disbelief through the NFL community. The drama doesn't stop with the mere act of switching teams. Sources close to the matter, speaking under the condition of anonymity, hint at tension behind the scenes in Dallas that may have fueled Lamb's rumored decision. Could it have been frustration with the coaching staff, dissatisfaction with offensive strategies, or a clash of personalities in the locker room? Fans are buzzing about every interview, every sideline interaction from last season, trying to connect the dots in this unfolding saga. Meanwhile, Commanders fans are reportedly ecstatic at the possibility of landing such a game-changing talent. The idea of CeeDee Lamb bringing his signature speed, his jaw-dropping catches, and his uncanny ability to dominate in clutch moments to Washington has turned their off-season discussions upside down. Social media feeds are flooded with reactions ranging from sheer disbelief to pure celebration, a roller coaster of emotion mirrored in the sports world's collective psyche. The rumor alone has already spurred debates about how this would shift the balance of power in the NFC East, creating new rivalries and reigniting old ones with a vengeance that promises fireworks in the coming seasons. Analysts are already dissecting what this potential move would mean for both franchises. Dallas, a team accustomed to being a powerhouse, might suddenly face a gaping hole in its offensive lineup, and the ripple effects are enormous. Without Lamb's presence on the field, questions arise about the team's ability to maintain its offensive momentum, to keep defenses guessing, and to continue thrilling fans with highlight-worthy performances. Some suggest that the Cowboys' front office might have dropped the ball in contract negotiations or in maintaining a locker room culture that keeps top-tier talent loyal. Meanwhile, Washington stands to gain more than just a player. They might be acquiring a symbol, a talisman whose presence alone can inspire teammates and intimidate opponents. The potential synergy between Lamb and Washington's current roster has already ignited daydreams among fans and pundits alike, with imagined plays, touchdown sequences, and game-winning drives dominating conversation threads everywhere. Every hypothetical scenario is being debated as though it's a championship blueprint in the making. The timing of the rumor also adds a layer of intrigue. Off-season moves are always scrutinized, but this potential switch, coming at a moment when training camps are looming and team dynamics are still forming, has made speculation nearly impossible to control. Insider chatter suggests that negotiations, if true, may have been underway for weeks, with clandestine meetings, agent whispers, and strategic maneuvering that only insiders can fully grasp. The secrecy itself fuels the fire, giving fans and media outlets endless fodder for theories. Has Lamb been playing a long game, biding his time while measuring his options? Or was this an impulsive decision, a sudden leap into a new chapter that has left Dallas stunned? The suspense is palpable, and every new report or cryptic social media post is scrutinized for hidden clues, further stoking the rumor mill to an almost feverish pitch. Of course, no story like this is complete without considering the human element. Behind the stats, the jerseys, and the stadium lights, CeeDee Lamb is a player with ambitions, emotions, and dreams. Rumors of a move to Washington carry implications not only for his professional trajectory, but also for personal relationships within and outside of the NFL. The camaraderie of the Cowboys' locker room, the connections formed over grueling practices and high-pressure games, the loyalty of fans who have cheered him on since his rookie days. All of it could be weighed against the promise of a new challenge, a fresh environment, and perhaps a platform to cement his legacy in a different way. Meanwhile, fans, commentators, and rival teams are all left to ponder the deeper motivations behind such a career-altering decision, each interpretation shaping the narrative in real time. Some see ambition, others see disloyalty, others simply revel in the drama of it all, eager to witness the fallout in real time as the NFL landscape braces for potential upheaval. Even beyond the field, the ripple effects are astonishing. Merchandising, ticket sales, local fan engagement, and even fantasy football dynamics could all be impacted by this rumored move. Cowboys fans may be left grappling with the loss of their favorite playmaker, while Washington supporters could find themselves with new hope, new energy, and renewed optimism that their team could finally compete at a higher level. The narrative is so rich, so layered, and so dramatic that it's impossible to separate fact from speculation at this point, which is, of course, exactly what makes sports rumors like this so irresistible. Analysts are calling it a potential game changer, not just in terms of on-field performance, but in cultural and financial aspects as well, turning what might otherwise be a simple roster move into a story that captivates the nation. And let's not forget the league-wide implications. When a player of Lamb's caliber entertains a move like this, it sends shockwaves through other teams, other players, and other negotiations. Agents are watching, general managers are recalculating strategies, and competitors are rethinking matchups months before the next season begins. The domino effect could be enormous, sparking a chain reaction of trades, signings, and strategic adjustments as the NFL ecosystem adapts to the possibility of this high-profile switch. Every team in the division, and perhaps the league at large, suddenly has to reconsider its offensive and defensive game plans. Every fan, even those whose allegiances are firmly rooted elsewhere, is watching closely, eager to see how this drama unfolds, knowing that it has the potential to redefine rivalries and reshape the storylines that will dominate sports talk for months to come. As the rumors continue to swirl, one thing is certain. The narrative of CeeDee Lamb and his potential defection from Dallas to Washington has captured the imagination of the sports world. It's the kind of story that fuels late-night debates, dominates highlight reels, and ignites social media frenzy. Whether it's true, exaggerated, or somewhere in between, the emotional impact on fans, teams, and the league is already undeniable. And as we wait for official announcements, leaks, and confirmations, the speculation alone is enough to keep headlines buzzing, to keep analysts theorizing, and to keep football fans everywhere on edge. The drama, the betrayal, the excitement. It's all part of the theater that is the NFL, and CeeDee Lamb's rumored move may well go down as one of the most talked about off-season stories in recent memory, a tale of ambition, risk, and the unpredictable twists that make sports endlessly compelling. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.